You can open up the show.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليما الحمد لله وكفى والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, I seek refuge in Allah from the rejected shaitan. May Allah bless our master, Sayyidina Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, companions, and give them peace. All praise is due to Allah, for He is sufficient for us. Peace be upon His slaves, whom He has chosen. As to what follows. Assalamu alaikum. You're now listening or watching this episode of the Half Your Deen show with myself, Saeed, aka Samira, and my co-host who just dipped out on me, Imam Naeem Abdullah. And as all of you have seen the title, this one is dedicated to Imam Siraj Wahhaj. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullah.
See, he dipped out on me again. Mashallah. We want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. I ain't in no laughing mood right now. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Mashallah. We were supposed to be broadcasting on Mondays, but we seem to never keep to our schedule. Mashallah. But today we felt that it was important, and it was the word slips my mind, but we had to come on today. And because of the situation that is going on, because I'm seeing on social media different things going on, and the common thread that I've been seeing, the common theme that I've been seeing is people asking what's going on, what happened, or what have you with our brother Imam Siraj Wahhaj. Just to let you know, we're not discussing the case right in this show right here.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I think it's important to mention what we do know, the general information, because a lot of people don't know.
All right. Okay.
And so they're going to go to the news because, yesterday I heard it on CNN, NPR, so it's out there.
Right.
So we need to mention exactly what's going on, and, we need to stop where our knowledge stops, and then we get to the topic, inshallah.
Okay. We can do that. At least mention what's going on.
Right.
Well, do you want to mention, or do you want to?
Sure. I think it was about in December.
End of November,
December. News started circulating, on the internet and, on social media that one or some of Imam Siraj's children and grandchildren were missing. And focus was on one of his grandchildren, Abdul-ghani, who's the son of his son by the same name, Siraj Wahhaj. And it was said that, he's missing, his mother doesn't know where he's at, and, he's very sick. He has a few sicknesses that require, serious medical and constant medical attention, so we need to know where he's at.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, the social media people started, talking and guessing and, saying this, and, the people that are close to the situation, they really didn't say too much. They just said, we know what's going on. Yo, don't just make dua for the safe return of Abdul-ghani to his mother. Right. Now, all that time, it was kind of quiet, but, the people that are close to the situation, obviously they weren't quiet about it. They want to know where their loved ones are. So this week, what day was it?
I believe Monday. Maybe this past weekend. This past weekend.
We hear on the news about a so-called compound in New Mexico that was raided because apparently there was some message that was sent or either intercepted by someone in this so-called makeshift compound that said, you know, we're hungry, we need food and water. And so then the authorities use that as a pretext to raid the compound. And according to the news, they found Siraj Wahhaj, not the Imam. So a lot of people don't know. So we call him Ibn. Those of us who know him, we call him Ibn. But his name, his first name is Siraj, last name Wahhaj. So he has the same name as his father, right? So he was found arrested. 2 of his sisters and another brother and another sister, and they said 11 children. And Abdul-ghani wasn't found at first. And so this was the other day. And one article that they posted on, I see you have it on your screen, is the New York Post. And, you know, I'm from New York originally. People from New York, at least I got some age on them, we never took like the New York Post as like a serious news outlet anyway. But in any case, the New York Post, it says, sickos busted for abusing kids at compound linked to controversial imam. And so they have the picture starting from right to left. They have the picture of Ibn. They have the picture of the other brother. What's his name?
Morton, something Morton.
I don't know his Islamic name. And then they have the picture of Imam Siraj, you know, as if he was involved with all of that, right? And so, and when the news originally broke, they didn't they didn't have any clue or about the whereabouts of the baby, Abdul-ghani. And then maybe a day or so afterwards, they found some remains of a boy, and from, you know, I've been out in the field all day, so I don't know what the latest is, but people assumed it was him. And from word I got, that they know it's him, and they informed the family, and the family posted. And I've seen one of the posts where, you know, they mentioned, you know, they said, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un," from Allah we come and from Allah we return. And they made announcement about the janazah. So we assume that the remains that were found were that of Abdul-ghani, rahimahullah. So that's what's out in the news, and I'm kind of summarized it, skimmed it. You want to jump in?
No, I think that's sufficient because we don't know exactly what's going on.
Now, and I need you to call up in your memory. We just did a show where we focused on the slander of Aisha.
Right.
Right. So I need you to, you know, have that in your memory banks, inshallah, because there's a lot of ways to deal with this. Number one, first off, anytime you get some information from anybody, you have to verify the information. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when a fasiq comes to you, or a person comes to you with some news, that you verify it, lest you harm some people and thereafter be in full regret for what you have did. So I say that to say that nowadays we're so used to taking everything that is mentioned on the news that, you know, we don't think about this ayat. Who is these people that's giving us this information on the news?
Right.
And even with the news that I've heard, I heard some things that didn't make sense to me. For number one, I did get a chance to look at the news a little bit today. And I was, alhamdulillah, one of my brothers sent me this link this so-called compound was on someone's property, right? And the people whose property that it was on complained to law enforcement a long time ago that these people set up shop on our property, and we want to get them out. So these people, the people who own the property, because from what I understood, if I understood it correctly, whoever initially set up this so-called compound set it up on the wrong side of the property line. They should have set it up a little bit over, but it was on this other person's property, and they complained to law enforcement officials about it, and they didn't do anything. And so now these same people are saying, wait a minute, something's off here. And this is what the non-believers are saying, whose property this compound was on. They said, we told you about this compound a long time ago. Now, we don't know what y'all doing, if you're trying to build a case or not, but if y'all know a child was involved, y'all should have got involved in the first place, right? This is what they're saying. Why did y'all wait until all this time? Because they're saying that we reported that we've seen children there. This is what they're saying. So why did you wait all of this time? And then they said that the law enforcement is saying that we did surveillance, we did aerial surveillance. I'm assuming they sent some drones up in the air to look down, and they were sending information back to Georgia, seeing if any of the people that we got pictures of, is it the little boy, whatever. And so when they got this so-called message, that's when they used that as a pretext to go in. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Do you want to jump in yet?
Yes. I think it's very important that we change the narrative. Everybody writes a narrative for us. Everybody speaks for the Muslims, meaning they already label us as terrorists. They already always label us these things that are not true, because they lump us all together with individuals that claim to be Muslims. And we need to stop allowing that to happen. We have to say something. We have to speak up. Like today, for example, I was at Whole Foods, and I've been, my husband and I, we're doing the lemonade cleanse. So it's imperative that we have the organic lemons. So I've been to several establishments, and it seems like the lemons are going out of style. And so they had limes, which I can substitute for the lemons. Mm-hmm. And so I spoke to the cashier. I said, what's going on with the lemons? It's like, y'all don't, it's like it's nowhere. And he was like, so where you been shopping? I said, like Trader Joe's, you know, things like that. And he was like, well, maybe it has something to do with terrorists. Now, you see how I'm looking, right? I said, why would you say that? Why would you say, well, he sounded stupid. Well, he didn't know what to say. So he says, I forgot what he said. But if I wouldn't have addressed him and questioned him and just let him slide. He
wouldn't have said it if I was there.
No, he wouldn't have said it was there. I'm like, why would you say something like that? What that got to do with terrorists when I'm talking about things that are grown locally? He's like, well, that's what happened. I said it like that. He said, oh, you're right, because, you know, most of our produce come from, those things come from Texas and Florida. I say, yeah. So I'm like, just sitting there like, why would you say that? And somebody else was standing there. But if I had just allowed him just to say that, I'm let him know, like, you're not just going to say anything like that. And you just look stupid. He was like, well, after he said it was Texas and Florida, that would be domestic. I say, yeah, that would be, wouldn't it? You know, like that. So, you know, just, you have to speak out. You can't just stay quiet. And we have a bad habit of not associating ourselves with things that we should speak about. Or we'll say, well, that ain't got nothing to do with me. That's not at my masjid. That's not in my part of, you know, part of the world.
I can't stand it.
And we take that stance when it is your business, because the Prophet ﷺ, and I'm just, you know, paraphrasing, we are one body. When one part hurts, we all hurt. So, for instance, if you know your basic Islam, your Fard Ain and your Fard Kifaya, as Muslims, we are responsible for burying our dead.
Right.
Regardless if you know that Muslim or not. As Muslims, the whole Ummah, somebody got to make sure that Muslim is buried. I don't care if they're 20,000 miles away. That is your responsibility. Allah will question you, each and every one of us. Why was that Muslim not buried if they were not buried? And if it was a case with,
keep going, go ahead.
If it was a case that
keep going, go ahead. I'm not doing it on purpose. Go ahead.
If it's a case where they were able to be buried, you know, everything was in line, but they chose to, like I've been hearing people, and it's mostly here. I can't speak for any place else. Oh, he was a bank robber. Oh, he sold drugs. Oh, I'm over here messing up my stuff. They did this. They committed all these sins, like these open sins. And people make the excuse not to bury these Muslims. Like, where you get that from, that you that you don't have to bury these Muslims? That is your responsibility as a Muslim, as a collective. That is our responsibility. So when things happen, when we hear things, our first response shouldn't be, that ain't got nothing to do with me. But soon as something happened to you personally, soon as something happened to you, your loved one gets shot down in the street, somebody does something, rape your wife or something like that, you all hell will break loose. And you want somebody to do something right now. And when nobody moves, you like, astaghfirullah, these Muslims, they ain't worth nothing. I could get my help from the kuffar and all this stuff. And that's how our response is, and it's ridiculous, and we need to stop it. So the reason that we're having this show tonight is to come in solidarity, come together in solidarity for our Imam. Regardless if you agree with him or not, he done good in the community. A
whole lot of good.
He did a whole lot of good for the community at Masjid Al-Taqwa, that area. Yep. And you could bear witness. All over the world. Let's just go back. That area that masjid is sitting on right now was full of drugs and drug dealers. And him and his crew, the brothers there, cleaned that out. They said, you cannot do that here anymore. That's giving dawah.
Let's back up for a second. When we hear some negative news about a Muslim, what are we supposed to do according to the Quran?
According to the Quran?
Yeah, you mentioned it when we did the show. When Aisha was slandered and Surah Nur, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say we're supposed to do?
You're supposed to make an excuse for them. You're going to say it's a lie because there's no witnesses for it.
Exactly. Now,
you consider a lie automatically because there's no witness for it. You haven't brought your case up to the point where...
Exactly. Even if you don't know if it's true or not, you hear something like, whoa, this must be an obvious lie.
Yeah.
Buhtan and Azim, this is a great lie.
Right.
Right? This is how we're supposed to respond automatically before we know any information.
Right.
Right? But what are Muslims saying? A lot of Muslims are saying, you shouldn't say anything. Be quiet.
Right.
That's not what Allah says. Your opinion and Allah's opinion are different. You have a different opinion than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we're not riding with your opinion. And for real, and this is just me. First of all, everybody that knows the story knows Imam Siraj ain't had nothing to do with it. I'm even making an excuse for Ibn, because I know Ibn. And to me, something else is wrong. And there's other people that's watching that's close to the situation. They may know better than me. I haven't seen the brothers in years. But when you know somebody, like, no, that's not him. No, something else is going on. That's my position. And let me go back, because sometimes people think, oh, you just somebody's out there trying to create a false narrative that we're trying to get fame or get props or to try to capitalize off of the situation. Number one, let me tell you something. When I came home from university, and everybody know what the university is, prison, right? My first stop was Masjid Taqwa. And at that time, you just couldn't just be anybody, just roll up in the masjid, whatever, because a lot of brothers, they're recidivists. A lot of brothers, they come out, they become Muslim in prison, they come home, they fall off, and they just go back and forth. So a lot of times there's a lot of scrutiny when brothers come home. And when I came home, Imam Siraj welcomed me with open arms. And not only that, subhanAllah, I'm trying to figure out where to start at. Like, at that time also, another elephant in the room, Imam Tariq Abdul Rashid, he can bear witness to everything I'm saying. He just said that Maryam put black magic on him. That's what I was alluding to, but I'm not there. So, you know, I didn't say it. He said it, alhamdulillah. But in any case, right? And if I'm correct, Maryam is his wife, the one that was with them when they got caught in the compound in New Mexico. Correct me if I'm wrong, inshallah, right? So, what was I saying?
You were saying how the Imam welcomed you when you first came
Right.
Mm-hmm.
When my first memory of him was actually in prison, and a videotape came in. See, people that become Muslim now, they can't really appreciate it, because now you got people who got contraband cell phones in prison. They on Facebook, YouTube, and everything in prison. But back then, you know, you had the masjid in prison. If your prison had a masjid or a place that the Muslims could pray in, then you had a TV with a video with a VHS player.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, at that time, the only videotapes you had was really Sheikh Ahmed Didat, Imam Wafiddin Muhammad, Ahmed Shakir, Imam Siraj Wahhaj, Sheikh Abdullah Hakim Quick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those were like the big names. It wasn't like 1,001 imams, 1,001 students of knowledge, 1,001, you know, scholars. That's it. Right. That's mm-hmm. basically all you had.
Right.
And at the top of the list in popularity at that time was Imam Siraj. There was no Hamza Yusuf at that time. Mm-hmm. Right. And I'm not knocking Imam Hamza Yusuf. I'm talking about chronologically. He wasn't on the radar yet.
Right.
It was Imam Siraj. And so the videotape came on of him in the prison, and the brothers from Brooklyn, from Masjid Taqwa, they just flipped out. Yo, that's my Imam. Yo, I'm like, yo, calm down. All right, it's all right. Like, no, you don't understand. That's my Imam. I'm like, okay, alhamdulillah. Right? Allah would have it. It wasn't my intention. When I came home, before I even put my bags down in my house, my parents' house, first stop, the masjid. That's what you do when you come home. That's the protocol.
Right.
Right? You go to the masjid. Mm-hmm. I was just so happy to go to Masjid Taqwa.
Right.
And there's brothers on my Facebook page. The first person I met there, Jihad Abdulaziz, before I even walked in the masjid. Mm-hmm. Brotherhood, right?
Right.
Because at that time, you becoming part of the community was like a no-brainer. How you going to be Muslim with no community? But nowadays, it's like that's the, you know, whatever. Right. But in any case, right? Mm-hmm. After several weeks of being there, we saw a picture of Imam Siraj, of a flyer, right? And he said he was giving a lecture in New Jersey. So I was like, okay, I want to see the Imam on the road, right? Mm-hmm. We just coming home, we broke, right? You have to pay an admission fee to get in, mm-hmm. right? So we asked the permission to talk to the Imam in his office, and we just said, Imam, you know, we broke. You know, we heard you giving a lecture in Jersey. We want to go with you. I'm sure you can come with me. No. We don't want to just come with you. We want to use your juice card so we can get in for free. Because we broke, right? We told him just straight up raw like that, right? Yeah, sure, yeah, you come with us. So we came with him to the program. You know, we came in and just, you know, we didn't know how to be fake, you know, politically correct, just being ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. And so Imam Siraj, he said, you know, I like you brothers' company. Mm. See, you know, like y'all not, you know, being all fake and all funny, just being yourselves. I like if you would try. I would like it if you would travel with me more often. I'm like, for real? Mm. Word? Mm. Bet. Right? This is what I'm thinking, right? I'm not thinking nothing, right? So after that, like, we would travel with him a lot of times when he would do local lectures where he didn't have to take a plane if we were driving. Mm-hmm. A lot of times on the weekend, we'd be riding with him. Right. At a certain period of time, I asked him to give me some classes. And he ended up doing a class with a few of us, and we would have these classes at his house. Very intense classes. Right. Like, he's known for fundraising, but if you know him, you know his knowledge is way deeper than that. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people miss out on the Imam because they think he just know how to raise money. That's it, right? But in any case, at that time, Ibn Siraj Wahhaj was living with him. That's how I came to know him. And we're not too much different in age. I think I'm like 6 years older than him or something like that. So for anybody talking about like, you know, you just, you know, no, it's my obligation to say something. And at that time, again, it wasn't 1,001 imams and teachers and sheikhs and students of knowledge flooding the market like it was then. Mm-hmm. And at that time, even still nowadays, I'm pretty sure the Imam Siraj's speaking calendar is probably filled up for at least another year, at least, even with the market being flooded, right? But back in those days, it was only a handful of people. And like usually people like him, when you call him and ask him to give a lecture, you know, and he can't do it that day because, you know, he's already booked for that day. A lot of times, especially if somebody has already booked a hall and they trying to do something, they say, Imam, you got anybody you can recommend? Mm-hmm. And at that time, I was one of those people that he recommended. So I got my passport because of him. Mm-hmm. The first few times I went to the UK was on his recommendation. First few times I went to Canada was on his recommendation. So I'm not speaking as an outsider, like somebody that don't know whatever. You know, I know him, right? And I know there's a lot of other people that know the Imam better than him, but they're not going to contradict nothing I say.
Right.
You know. Well, alhamdulillah, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was saying, like, for those that don't know the Imam, would like to get familiar with him, like his history go back. I know it go way back there, but this is just one of the things that stands out that the media does not mention. Mm-hmm. That he cleaned, like he didn't need gentrification for that area.
Yeah.
You understand? It was him and a group of brothers that cleaned out that mess, the drug dealers, the druggies and all that, so that people could have their businesses, so people have homes to live in. You understand? And up until this day, people are benefiting from that.
Yeah, Muslims and disbelievers.
Muslims and non-Muslims, you understand? But nobody talks about that. The media is not going to put that on it. What they keep referring to him is the 1993 bombings, that he was not convicted, he was not charged or anything like that.
Stop right there. Even then, when that happened, when someone attempted to blow up the World Trade Center the first time, the Twin Towers, in 1993, they gave Imam Siraj the title unindicted co-conspirators. Anybody that's ever been to prison before, you know what unindicted means. You ain't been charged. Or at least you might have been arrested, but you went before the grand jury, whatever, they didn't charge you, right? An unindicted co-conspirator. And they stick that label on him, and he said it back then. He objected to that label, right? Because number one, he didn't co-conspire to do anything.
Right.
Right? But in other words, they saying you conspired to do an act of terrorism, but we can't prove it, so we just going to call you an unindicted co-conspirator. And so, and it's amazing because 1993 to now is what 25 years.
93, 2003, 2013, 25 years, yeah.
And they still using that label today. And that to me, that shows the wisdom of the Imam in objecting to being given that label even way back then.
SubhanAllah. So, you know, these are the things that we have to remind people, because you have Muslims, new Muslims, younger Muslims, that may not know that history about them. And a lot of us, we take the media as truth. If it's not in the newspaper, if it's not in, on TV, then whatever information come out is not true. Let me wait till they say something. What do CNN say? What did ABC say? What did such and such say? When somebody that's been on the ground and has worked side by side with him knows this person's true character. And we have to remind ourselves that he is not responsible for what his adult children has committed. We cannot label him with that.
But there's some people that's saying that he should be responsible for what his adult children did. I'm like, subhanallah. I'm like, only person who would say that is, number one, someone who got a vendetta against him. Mm-hmm. Number two, or someone who don't have no adult children, or number three, somebody that's living in a bubble. If you got adult children, you know that you raise your children to do certain things and not do certain things. At least if you didn't teach it verbally, you taught by your example, right? Right. You can't plug everything that a child does on their parents. Right. You can't. You can't do and it's amazing because I remember, again, when I first came home and I'm watching different imams and I'm hearing about different imams involved, their children being involved in some stuff. And me, I didn't have any children at the time. I'm like, subhanAllah, how the imam, how you gonna be the imam's son doing that? I would be like, imam must be doing something wrong. This is me, naive, right? I never said it, but in my mind, I'm like, oh man, right? Now I have children. I know how I raise my children, right? You can't put everything they do on me. I even had one child try to go in on me on social media. Another one of my children had to come and defend me. Right? So, but even if you think, if that's your logic, you know, his son did X, Y, and Z, and as Imam Tariq Abdul Rashid said, he's close to the situation, right? Magic was put on him, right? But even if you say that, even if that's not the case, how are you going to stick it to the imam? If your logic is the adult child did X, Y, and Z, so that means that the parent is foul. What is your opinion of Prophet Nuh? Right. When his son, as Allah says, did ghayru amila salih, did other than righteous deeds? Are you trying to say, according to your logic, if the adult son does something wrong, then it's the parent's responsibility? So Allah condemns the son of Prophet Nuh. Are you saying that the Prophet Nuh is ma'soom, is not ma'soom, that he's not free from sin? You saying that he's guilty of some sin by means of association with his son? Is that what you're saying?
Sure, you could say that for the other one. You know, you can associate that with the wives of the prophet. Exactly. You know, like Prophet Lut, his wife was punished. So her disobedience was no reflection on his prophethood. He was still a prophet. Right. And so that's proof that you don't bear the burden of another, like Allah says in Quran. Yeah, exactly. You don't bear the burden. So them doing that, you got to speak against that. We got to stop. First of all, we have to stop repeating what these non-Muslims say about us, especially the negative stuff. We got to stop repeating that.
But you know how it goes. People repeat when they have an axe to grind.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I'm an imam, and I don't care, brothers and sisters, whoever's watching, listening, or either now or later, whether you're an imam or you have an imam, I can say this without stuttering, without even knowing your imam or nothing about him. Your imam has enemies. Just because. Just because. Why my imam got enemies? Because. That's it, because.
When you're in a position like that of authority and people don't like you there, they just wait. They just can't wait.
There's people waiting.
Yeah, they wait when some misfortune hits you.
They feel good about it.
They are celebrating.
Alhamdulillah. The imam got caught out.
Yeah. See, I told you he was now, but you understand? Yeah. And it's like, as Muslims, if we love for each other, we love for ourselves. The last thing you're going to do, I don't care if you don't like that person, you don't kick them while they're down. You
that's a punk move.
Yeah, that's a punk move.
That's actually a punk move. You don't try to kick him when he's standing up.
Then he knocked down and then you kick him. That's a punk. You know, you fight. You know, if you had something to say it when they was up. Say it when you was able to talk to them. But now that they're going through it, now you want to, yeah, you need to step down. Yeah, you ain't worthy of the title. Yeah, you know, and it's disgusting. And it's disgusting. And that says a lot about you. And you need to make tawbah. Those that have that type of thinking.
Imam Tariq Abdul Rashid said he's seen evidence of the ritual in Maryam's house.
SubhanAllah. May Allah protect us, our families.
And when I mentioned that, you know, we would have classes with Imam Siraj at his house, Imam Tariq Abdul Rashid is one of them. And not only that, he's married into the family. One of his daughters had married Imam Siraj's other son. So he's not speaking from a distance. Like, you know, that's why I can't speak to the situation. I'm not there in Atlanta. I'm not even in New York anymore. Right. But I can speak to the Imam's character. I can even speak to Ibn's character.
Right. But I do want to, we don't want this to just, just talk about the problems. We need to weigh the solutions. We are ummah, right? Mm-hmm. We have to come together. Like, we know there's 11 children out there in New Mexico, and I was listening to the press conference. Mm-hmm. They're not trying to let those children out of their care. They're trying to take custody of all those kids and keep them there in New Mexico. Now, this is the time, and I'm not able to do that. If I was able to do that, some of us need to move out there to New Mexico, take residence there, and take possession of those children if the family themselves cannot do that. Because they're not trying to let those children go and use this situation to make a point that we are illegitimate, we're not capable of watching over our children, that we're the worst fathers and mothers in history. You got to look at the implications of this.
And that's his legacy. When I first heard about his children and grandchildren being missing, before I knew anything, my wife can bear witness. I said, Imam Siraj is the target. I don't know what's going on, but he's the target. I said that then, and I said that when this latest news came out. Say he's the target. When Prophet Ibrahim made dua, right? Mm-hmm. He asked that Allah bless his progeny. And we know by if you know just the basic history about what Allah teaches us about Shaitan, Iblis, mm-hmm. right? Because when Shaitan or his helpers want to get at you, they get at you by not only attacking you directly, they get at you by attacking those who you love. Mm-hmm. Your lineage, your family, your progeny, your wife, your children. Yeah. And so we're talking about Imam Siraj's legacy.
Right.
This is his blood.
Not just his children, his grandchildren. This is involved. This is a hope, subhanAllah.
That's why I say, without even being close to the situation, he's a target. And this is, I'm not even talking about government conspiracies, whatever. Whoever's behind the conspiracy, and ultimately it's the Shaitan, he's the target.
Right, subhanAllah. So whatever you can do, if you can donate, like right now they're preparing for his janazah. I see there's a GoFundMe. I'm going to put the link up. There's a GoFundMe that was originally for the mother to get funds to help find her son. But alhamdulillah, and I'm going to say alhamdulillah because all praise due to Allah in every situation. Right. You know, her son was returned back to him, mashallah, which is the best place, mashallah. But whatever you can do, you make dua. Dua is always good. If you can donate towards the janazah. I saw also someone made a call that the sisters, and they are, Allah knows best. We only can go by what we know. They need hijabs. Yes, they're locked up. Yes, they under serious trouble, but they need their hijabs. So if you're able to donate towards that, I'm going to put the link in the information that you can send that to, but they're going to need that as well.
Imam Tariq Abdul Rashid said he will be addressing it live on Facebook. Inshallah, Imam, tell us when. Inshallah. On another note, who married us the first time?
Imam Siraj.
Alhamdulillah.
Imam Siraj, mashallah.
By the way, Imam Siraj, I think I told you this. Because when...
yeah, Margaret's on my son. Well, we got to make salah. We got to wrap this up.
Imam Siraj, when I told him about marrying you, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me if I told you this before.
You did, but you can repeat it real quick.
What I'm about to say. You
were saying something that he had a dream?
Yeah. When I told Imam Siraj, he was like, I had a dream that you were two together.
Yeah.
He supported it. And that's what kind of put the battery in my back.
Yeah. He was there for me when I had a situation, and that's how we end up meeting each other. But the Imam was there, he's been, I've seen, been there for other people when their situations or what have you. He's been there for a whole lot of people.
All around the world, not only in Brooklyn. There's people in Brooklyn that was in Taco before we got there who Imam Siraj was there for. There's a whole new generation at Taco now, and he been there for them.
Been there for them. He's still benefiting them. May Allah keep blessing him and stack up his good deeds in such a in a way that on the day of judgment Allah will rectify a situation, mashallah. But
again, when you hear this information, get information directly from the source and the family, and trust. As an imam, you know, you're going to have enemies. And I just give you an example. If you know, if two brothers come to me, they have a dispute, or a husband and wife come to me with a dispute, and they want me to arbitrate or to make a decision between the two. And I say, okay, and I hear them out, and I say, okay, you know, the ruling is in your favor. The one who felt like they were shortchanged, most times that person is going to be my enemy. Not because I want him to be, but because he felt like I did him wrong. Right. And this is the reality. A lot of times you hear people on these vendettas, you know, they Muslim and they so quick to throw the imam under the bus. Look into that history there.
Yeah. And if you see the comments, block it, delete it. Don't let that sit there like that, because somebody's going to come behind and that might affect their heart against that person, regardless if it's true or not. Don't allow that to sit there. If it's not helping the situation, if it's not a solution, then it don't need to be there.
No doubt. I was about to say something.
But we got to go. It's time for the salat.
You act like you running stuff.
I don't run nothing.
Oh, you act like
Mashallah, you run. Allah runs this.
Mashallah. But first, what we want you to do is, like my wife said, to support the family, support the mother of Abdul-ghani and the family with your funds. Also support them, all of them, with your dua. And like I said, if you're listening to this, look at the comments. Don't be one of them ignoramuses who jump on the stat and make comments and don't even read the comments that preceded you, because you could sound stupid at the end of the day. Imam Tariq Abdul Rashid, who I just mentioned is close to the situation, said that magic was put on him. And I kind of knew that, because I know Ibn. You know, when you know somebody, you say, okay, if he going to go astray, he going to go astray this way. He ain't going to go straight that way. You know, when I heard it, like, nah, that don't even sound right. You know, and so that's why everybody ready to throw Imam Siraj's children under the bus. I'm not ready to throw them under the bus either. You know, we don't know, and you know what we should make dua is that their Islam, because Allah is most merciful. I'll leave us with this. Allah is so merciful that you can mess up so many times in this life, and it's not too much to go back to Him and make tawbah. Right. You understand? For them and for ourselves, we have to remember that. So don't just write them off. Whatever the situation is, they can always make tawbah. Just like we mess up, we can make tawbah, and Allah will forgive us and turn those bad deeds into good ones. He says that in our book, if you read it. You know, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La yu'minu ahadukum hatta yuhibba li akihi ma yuhibbu li nafsihi." This hadith that you always hear me quote, Imam Siraj taught me that hadith. It's a well-known hadith. It means none of you believes until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. And in this situation, when we talked about slander, those of you who saying, oh, people go slander us anyway, don't say nothing, shut up. You disagreeing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regards to this situation. When somebody is slandered, number one, if you hear it and you don't say nothing about it, you take part in the punishment and the retribution that Allah could give you with regards to that. So when you hear it, you have an obligation now. The burden is on you. You should say, oh, this ain't true. This ain't right. This can't be true. No. Or matter of fact, let me bring you to the person right then and say it in his face. You got to do something. Right. Islamically. Right. The imam being slandered, you should not be quiet. It's not Islamic to be quiet. You are wrong. Everyone who's saying, oh, people going to say what they want to say anyway, be quiet, you're wrong Islamically. And number two, when people slander your imam, they are attacking you, because Allah, the Prophet ﷺ said that the leader is Dhilatullah fil ard. He's the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth. What that means, a shade is a protection from the heat of the sun. So when someone tries to attack your leader, they're trying to tear down your leadership, they're trying to remove the protection that Allah has placed over you. So when someone attacks their leader, they're attacking you through the back door. So you shouldn't sit comfortable when someone attacks your leader. You shouldn't be cool with that. When they attack your leader, they're attacking you. They're just not saying so. And if you sit by and be quiet, don't say nothing, or if you cheerlead, you only helping and bring about your own personal demise, because you help to bring about your leader, who is your protection on earth.
So with that being said, we want to thank everyone for tuning in, and we hope that the message that we try to project here is have his back. You understand? Change the narrative. Whenever you see the nonsense,
change the narrative.
When you see the nonsense, turn away. What Allah says when somebody's talking some nonsense, you supposed to get out the company. You supposed to listen. I can't stay with y'all. You understand? So if you see that on social media, cut it off, delete the person, or what have you. But keep them in your du'as, and if you're able to do anything for the family, please do. And may Allah bless us in them, and may He forgive us all of our sins. Ameen.
Close out.
Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk wal asra innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.